Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Mons, our Digimon Adventure 2020 recap podcast. My name is JD, and joined with me, as always, is Jeanette and Gary.
Hello.
Hi, it's hot.
It is hot. It's been very hot where we live in Ohio.
After a few days of really cool weather, lies.
Right? The weather is either extremely hot or extremely cold in Ohio. There's no in between. But this week we are going to be talking about episodes 63, The Crest of Courage, and episode 64, The Angel's Determination. We are real close to the end here. We've got 2 more episodes to go over. We'll do that next week. But yeah, man, we are inching ever closer to the end.
It's the final countdown.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and start with episode 63, The Crest of Courage, in which Tai finally gets his crest after everybody else got theirs, even though Tai has been involved in everybody else's crest findings. I guess it just took till now to figure out his.
I feel like he should have gotten his crest like in the first few episodes. Because what happened in this episode is kind of like what happened in the first, like, really early episode.
Yeah, this episode is kind of like just kind of going over things again. But so basically, what happens is that at the end of the last episode, we found that we found Sora, or I don't know if it was the last episode. Anyway, Sora is with Tai, and they come across this creepy castle. There's a Nightmon standing out front, and they're like, "Hey, my doohickey compass thing was telling me to come here. Is it cool if we go in?" Nightmon just kind of stands aside and doesn't say anything.
Strong and silent.
Yeah. But they go inside and are met by a ghost of Valkyremon. Kind of is what I took it as. It's like they're not alive. They are a spirit that basically protects the castle, which I guess was like, I don't know if you guys took it this way. I kind of took it as like, this is the Camelot where all the great warriors grouped together and like strategized during the Great War way back when.
Yep, feels like that.
Yeah. But basically, Valkyremon is not convinced that Tai is worthy to like fight in the new holy war that's going to go on. So she basically has to test him. So she throws, I don't know if Valkyremon's a dude or a guy. But they throw him, Tai, into basically this other dimension for a bit, where he's basically left alone until he rescues a Botamon from a bunch of monsters, and he basically has to carry this thing around the whole time, like trying to protect it from all these monsters that keep showing up. And through that, he shows that yes, he is courageous. Yes, he is willing to put himself aside for the betterment of everybody else. To the point where Botamon like has a weird desperation energy evolution where we get like a really badass T-Rex energy Greymon, and that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is basically and then Valkyremon after all this happens, basically it's just like, hey, you have the power inside you to summon this great warrior who we find out is Omnimon. Because she's like, you've already summoned this warrior twice, and this warrior is meant to help fight back the catastrophe or whatever. And so after all this, Tai gets his crest, and everyone goes on their merry way to meet back up. So, what did you guys think about this one?
That was fine.
I really like it. I just don't like the placement of this episode. Like I said before, like everything happens kind of. Tai already did those things. I know he has to prove it in front of the ghost of Valkyremon and such, but it just feels like that it just feels like that he should have already earned the crest already. Mm-hmm. Like, I love his interaction and everything. It's
yes.
Yeah. It just feels so late in the game.
Yeah.
Putting those soccer skills to work.
Yeah. Yeah, Gary, I totally agree. Like, I like the concept of this episode. It does not feel like we're in the last 4 episodes. We should be dealing with this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like, give him some bigger stake instead of just protecting one little adorable baby Digimon that I want to plush off.
The baby Digimon was so cute, though.
Yeah, it is. But, like, if it's something bigger, like, if it's not just, like, him fighting off 2 or 3 Digimon, if it's him trying to figure out how to maybe, like, figure out how to defeat the big bad later on by himself, or that the real world is in even greater jeopardy and he has no allies to help, like, that kind of hypothetical situation Valkyrieon put him through would make more sense, since the threat is also even greater now. I mean, the big bad, whatever big bad that we'll be facing in a few episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like what they're doing in this episode, but really the only thing I'm getting away from this episode is just like the lore of like, oh, hey, Omnimon was the leader of, or like the great savior back in the day, and you have the power to summon him. I'm like, okay, that's cool information, and that kind of seems appropriate for this late in the game, that like, oh, hey, you've summoned this thing you've had the entire time, is... I apologize, everybody. My dog is barking downstairs.
Hi, Bowie.
Yeah, my dog is losing his mind probably at our neighbors. But basically, it's just like, okay, this thing you've had all along is what the key you've been looking for this whole time to stop the great catastrophe. But everything that precedes that knowledge seems kind of like, why are we just getting to do this now?
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a nice Tai showcase. I do kind of like that it's like because he's so, it almost feels like going into it, he seems like he's been overly reliant on Agumon to fight his battles with him or for him, I guess. But this is where Tai is literally left to his own devices. Like, it is just him. He has no friends. He has no Digimon with him. He is literally like, okay, I have to survive here. Oh, hey, there's this baby Digimon. He has an innate sense to like, okay, I need to protect this thing because it can't defend itself. And so Tai proves in the end that like, okay, I am the fearless leader that I've always presented myself to this entire show. But we need to reiterate that one last time for this great spirit that didn't know if he was worthy or not.
He's a dick. He's a jerk. He puts this baby Digimon through this trial.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I really liked how Tai was thinking on his feet and just trying to think things out instead of power his way through. Now, some of them were a little hokey, like the bubbles thing was a little silly. I really liked it for the most part.
So, yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine for what it is. Maybe should have been placed a little earlier in the show, maybe around maybe like the first crest they found, or like a little earlier in this little arc. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. It's kind of cool to know that, you know, obviously Omnimon was going to play some kind of role, but to learn that like, oh no, he was like the big savior back in the day, I guess that's kind of interesting information to have.
I actually would have I don't know if I like this idea or not, but if the twist is that he already have the crest of courage, like from the get-go, but he just need to realize it.
Yeah.
Like that would actually make more sense story-wise. I don't know how I would like it if that was the case.
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked that twist, but they would have had to, like, basically Tai doubting himself. Like, had it been like over the time of him helping his crest, he's like starting to doubt himself. I'm like, oh, I haven't found mine yet. Like, why is my compass always sending me to other people rather than finding my own? And like, in that sense, I could definitely see him like, oh, well, you had it all along. You just had to realize it. Which I think is kind of the case for most of them. I think that is kind of the idea behind the crest, is that like you have this power. It's just you really need to like unlock it for yourself. But that would have been. I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
They kind of say that in the next episode, like that. And we'll get there,
right? But
they kind of say that.
Yeah, but it's fine. Probably not the best episode to be like wrapping the series up with, but you know, what are you gonna do?
We got to save one more Mega Evolution for Greymon for the final battle, so we can't Mega Evolve here.
Yeah, we've got War Greymon, we've got Blitz Greymon, we had Machinedramon, Omnimon, technically, I guess. I'm sure we can squeeze one more in here somehow.
We need one more extra deck for the new trading card game.
Right? Oh, he's got plenty of Mega Evolutions, don't you worry. One of them's got a sword.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at The Geekly Grind.
So let's go ahead and move on to episode 64, The Angel's Determination. So this one was kind of interesting. Basically, TK has like a weird hallucination vision about Devimon telling that like, hey, that great catastrophe you've been wanting to stop, like it's pretty much here, homie. And then he wakes up and basically finds that like all the researchers that were in the big tree are basically saying, oh, we're under attack by a bunch of those soundbird things. So everyone has to rush back there. The team reunites, and it is basically found that the Soundbird Mon are trying to summon this monster who... It has different names. I think in America it's called Ghoulmon, but in Japan he's called Deathmon. He's this big gray horn thing with a giant eyeball. And
eyes on his hand.
Yeah, he's got weirdo eyeballs in his hands. But basically, he is trying to destroy the crest slabs that the kids were shown, because now they are reacting now that everyone has their crests. But in order to stop them, we are finally shown the angel megas of Patamon and Gatomon, so we finally get to see Seraphimon and Ophanimon. We were teased about this a couple episodes ago when TK and Kari did their crest quest. Mm-hmm. And so they're able to fight back Deathmon, whoever. So then we are kind of cut back to Argomon, the weird jellyfish who's turned into a weird jellyfish man. And he is basically saying that like, oh hey, the master I've been serving this whole time, he's pretty much waking up now. So like, yeah, we're in the end game here, folks. It's about to go down.
It's gonna go down. Also, Devimon is like the worst friend ever.
Yeah. He keeps calling Patamon his old friend and stuff. Is like, you've been kind of a dick this entire time. Yeah. Like, yep. I get it because like Devimon was like born of the darkness and Angemon.
Of hope and light and good things.
Yeah. But what did you guys think?
I actually really dug this episode. I didn't think I would. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, it's another info dump episode, but I really liked it. I'm sort of wondering, and I know they do this, and it's pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a happy ending, but I wonder if it's like going to be inevitable that the Digiworld gets destroyed and they just have to witness its rebirth or something. I don't know. I've watched too much anime.
I could see that.
But I think it's just going to be as bog standard. They save the day and everyone's happy.
I guess we'll see. What about you, Gary?
This episode gives me hope that we're going to have a big giant battle with every mega at the end.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that same boat because, I mean, we've had several times where they flash back to the last big war, and they've always shown a big group shot of everybody's mega form and silhouette. They even flash back to it in the last episode when they were talking about like Omnimon being the savior of the Great War. So yeah, I'm expecting a full on everyone goes mega and we're gonna have a big old fight with a bunch of giant monsters.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I want a big kaiju fight.
But it is nice that the angel, the mega angels are, the way that they evolved seems to be they're very at ease when they evolve. It's not like it is a big crisis with the tree being under attack, but it's not like desperate. It's like they kind of learn from their Crest episodes, and then now they can evolve freely without being under
distress.
Under distress immediately.
I was thinking about that too, how it seems like they had the ability to evolve. It just was a matter of needing to do it. But they'd unlock the ability. And that was the idea of that flashing in the previous episodes.
Yeah, I like how it's like when they were fighting off fucking Millenniumon, they evolved into Goldramon and Magnadramon, who are more of these holy beast Digimon, and so like you have like kind of that great like unrefined power, but now we have like these angelic beings that they're into, and it seems like more refined, more regal, like more powerful. So I think we're kind of like, okay, this is where all of this has been leading, is like getting those two to really unleash their power properly. Yeah, and it's nice how they like team up with Wargreymon to like really stop Deathmon from royally fucking everything up.
Yes.
Yeah, so that team up was kind of cool.
It was. I liked it.
Yeah.
I still like seeing Weismon again and his joy and so much knowledge. This brings great knowledge to my joy, or great joy to my knowledge, or whatever the quote is.
We should put that on a t-shirt.
This brings great joy to my knowledge.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of this, we are basically like the kids are being shown that like, so basically the big bad guy, his name is Negamon, like Negative Mon, like whatever. Like that's kind of a dumb name, but whatever.
Sounds like Nagmon.
Yeah,
he nags.
But basically, at the end of this, we're kind of showing that like Negamon's birth is starting to like throw cracks into the digital world, where it's like literally starting to fall apart. And I'm sure in the next episode, we're going to see like what the ramifications of that are, where the digital world is literally falling apart from like...
It looks like they fight in that other region, like emptiness, and they go fight
it's like a void or something.
Yeah.
It's a hole in the sky.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, so I don't remember, if anyone remembers the end of season 2, where everyone fights in that like other dimension, when Malomyotismon is like trying to fuck up the world, they like fight inside this other dimension. I'm wondering if it's going to be something like that.
I think so. It seems to be leaning very heavily to that in the preview.
Like the rules of the regular digital world like don't apply, but I don't know if they'll get that crazy with it, but because like that ending is fucking nuts, where like everyone's evolution just like, okay, we have all the armors, we have all the fusions, we have all your regular forms, and they're all just going to stand side by side and start kicking ass. So
yes, no, I love that ending.
That thing is bananas.
I love it.
So I don't know if we're going to get that.
And then all the Digivices light up around the world. And
yeah, that whole like world tour arc comes to a head on that.
That wonderful world tour arc.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what this whole Negamon thing is. We're finally gonna figure out like, okay, this is the big impending doom force that's been haunting this entire show. What's that gonna be about? So, we'll have to wait till next week. The episode's already out when we record this. I just haven't watched it yet, but we will have to wait till next week's episode of our show to know what that's about and talk about it. But
and get our opinions.
Yeah,
get our A+, always right, always correct opinions.
Yep. Never before have we had a wrong opinion or talked out of our asses.
That never happens.
Not at all. Well, do either of you have anything to say before we wrap up today about these episodes?
Nope.
I'm
just
excited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully end this with a bang.
Yeah, let's definitely hope so. All right, guys. Well, that will do it for this week. Thank you all for listening. I guess everyone keep your fingers crossed that we end on a high note here. So we'll see what's going on. So thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you all next time.
Bye-bye.